Hey guys, today I wanted to talk to you all about internet harassment and how I deal with it and the best practices to deal with it that I've learned so far. And I'm going to be talking about this primarily on a functional level, like how to deal with it in your stream, on your YouTube channel, etc. And then also how to deal with it in terms of mental toll, emotional toll that it can take on you, and the best way to go about it in the healthiest way possible. So it goes as no surprise, and it's no secret that a lot of people have been harassed online recently, and I'm pretty sure if you're watching this video a year after it came out, this is probably still going to be true because that's just the way the internet works. And I think that there's a very unfortunate paradox of creating content online, which is if you create content online, you should expect to be harassed. You should expect to have people bring up the worst things about you. Like if you're fat, they're going to call you fat. If you're ugly, they're going to call you ugly. If you're balding, they're going to call you balding. So doesn't matter what it is, people are going to pick out the most unflattering thing about you and then try to use that to hurt you. And that's just the way that things are on the internet. This is something you can expect to happen on the internet. And the paradox part of this is that it never should happen. A person should never have to deal with this. A person should never have to be told this kind of stuff. They should never have to be harassed. But it's a catch-22. You should not make content online if you can't deal with harassment, but harassment should not happen online either. So that's the world that we live in. So I'd like to tell people kind of how I navigate that space. I've had a lot of times where people have been angry at me. Sometimes I've dealt with it in a good way, sometimes I haven't. And I've learned from that in both ways. I think that sometimes failing teaches you more than succeeding does. So anyway, I think the first place that I want to start off at is how to deal with how to categorize people's feedback. And I made a tweet about this recently, is that there are a lot of people who like posting their hot takes on the internet. They like, saying the thing that's controversial. They like being a little bit edgy. And then the moment that anybody says, hey, that's really edgy, I don't like that, shut the fuck up, you're wrong, that's stupid, then they're like, oh my God, I'm getting harassed. I'm sorry, guys. But being harassed on the internet is not whenever people disagree with you, okay? Being disagreed with and disagreement and people not thinking the same thing you do, that's not them harassing you, okay? But there is a lot of cases of actual harassment. So I'd like to show people a little bit how kind of like I differentiate the two. So number one is that if a person puts in their comment a personal insult on your physical appearance, that comment goes in the garbage instantaneously. I stop reading it, I stop caring, I stop even taking it seriously in any capacity. So if they're calling you fat, if they're calling you ugly, if they're making fun of your physical appearance in any way whatsoever, you should probably just take that criticism and throw it in the garbage, because the odds are this person just fundamentally does not like you, and this is just what's going to happen. Like, you put yourself out there and there's going to be a lot of people that just simply don't like you. And what's even more odd about this is that there will be people that don't like you because a lot of other people do like you. It's the same as like there's contrarians, right? They're the people that hate all the popular shows. They don't listen to the songs on the radio, these kinds of guys. So that's just the way that they are with content creators as well. You just have to be ready to acknowledge that if you want to make yourself happy, you have to know and acknowledge that there will be other people that don't want that to happen. And it's not fair, it's not good, and it is true. And I think there's a lot of elements to this that is pretty much along those lines, is that there are things that should not happen, but they do, and this is how to deal with them whenever they do happen. So anyway, any criticism, any feedback that people give you that is tied to a personal insult that is tied to your personal appearance, your physical appearance, throw that in the garbage. The next thing to do is to also look at comments of people that are like actually trying to engage with you, because I don't think that it's always a bad idea to engage with and try to talk to people that might have a different point of view. But one thing that I've definitely learned is that there have been a number of these times, and I'll give you guys an example of this, right? So how many of you all have seen, like, I don't want to go too far off on a tangent, so I'll try to keep this short. How many of you guys all seen an article and the article puts out misinformation? And then the article stays up, and then the misinformation is corrected later on, but the misinformation has like 1,000 likes and the article had 100,000. So the misinformation just doesn't really, or the claim that the actual correction has like almost no traction, but everybody still believes the base article. And this is an unfortunate reality of the internet because the base article is probably more interesting, so people care more about that than whether it was fake or not. That doesn't really matter. And I think that also goes into another bigger element that I'm going to talk about soon is treating yourself like an entertainment station and treating yourself not like a person, which is very important, I think, and I'll talk about that more. But anyway, so I made a video, and a person claimed that they had their video DMCA'd by Amazon because it was showing a hack or some sort of exploit in New World. And I said that Amazon was pieces of shit for doing this, and I went off on a tirade about this, and I said if this was true. Well, it turns out that it was not true. And I took the video down. I took it down because I was like, this video spreads misinformation that makes Amazon look bad in a way that was not true. And they still made a mistake by DMCAing the video, but it was not for this reason, so I issued a correction and I deleted the original video. Well, people, of course, guess what? People thought Jeff Bezos paid me to do that. So I went on and I made an honest, good faith effort to explain to people why I made the decision that I did. And they said, shut up. You're just being paid by Jeff Bezos again. Oh, is he paying you to make this video too? And the reality is that I'd say about half of those people are trolling and the other half are not. And the reason why I'm getting to this is that people never like being proven wrong. And people will more than likely say that they are trolling or, hold on to a bad opinion they have rather than actually change their opinion whenever being presented with new evidence. Because they don't have to change their opinion. They're under no obligation to be beholden to facts or, like science or evidence or anything like that. They don't give a fuck about that. They just want to see you taken out. And in a lot of cases, it's not even about you. It's about they don't want to take an L themselves. So even whenever confronted with unverifiably or like undisputably verifiable evidence that this is not the case or another good argument, they will still not believe it because they don't want to. And I think this is another element here is that people are going to believe what they want to believe. And it doesn't matter how good your argument is. It doesn't matter how hard you try. It doesn't matter how many times you rewrite the same tweet in your head. Listen, people are just going to think that, and it doesn't matter. I've always used a phrase, you build 100 bridges and you suck one dick. You're not a bridge builder, you're a dick sucker. And it doesn't matter what the proportion is. It matters how interesting it is to say what the different things are. What's more interesting, a dick sucker or a bridge builder? Well, I think a lot of people would say a dick sucker. So that's just the way the world works. And the reality is that oftentimes, like I always looked at myself, because again, like whenever you take criticism, I think it's important to kind of create an effigy of yourself that is who you are online. And it's kind of like a target dummy, a scarecrow, whatever you want to use. There's a million metaphors for this. But the point is that people attack the person who you are online, not necessarily you, because as anybody who makes content online knows, who you are online is not exactly who you are in real life. I think that there's a very large spectrum for this, whether it's somebody who's streaming 24/7 or somebody like Dr. Disrespect who completely plays a character. But in general, I think that this is true. Is that you generally act different on camera than you do off camera, in the same way that you probably act different around your friends than you do around your grandma. So that's very normal, it's very healthy, there's nothing wrong with that. And I think that also it allows you to disconnect yourself and kind of have a little bit of dissonance between the things that people are saying to you and the things that personally bother you. And I felt that that helps me a lot. And also, I even took this a step further, and I've tried to do this in the last like maybe year or two, is that I've looked at everything that happens to me. I stopped viewing myself as a person. I've stopped viewing myself as an individual and like what I want, what I need, how I feel. I threw all those things in the garbage because nobody else cares about that. People care about the content. They care about being entertained. And if you're not doing that, nobody cares about you and they don't like you. So the way that I try to look at things is that I only look at perspectives and I only look at doing something from the perspective of how is the viewer going to feel about this, and also if it's something that's in my benefit, like, I don't know, doing a sponsorship or something like that, then I only look at it from that perspective. And I don't, oh, my monitor turned off. I'm using that as a light, by the way. There we go. That's a little bit better. And I try to look at it in that way. And I know this might sound very odd and maybe even a little bit sociopathic, that I don't even view myself as a person whenever I'm online, but the truth is that I'm not. I'm just pixels. I'm not a real person. You don't see me. You're looking at a monitor, and you're looking at a phone. And yes, of course, this is a I'm 14 and this is deep statement, but I think that there is a certain level of truth to it. And in that truth, I think that you can actually find solace in the fact that what you are is not this entire person. It's just this version of yourself that people see. And whenever you can contextualize and compartmentalize where you are in that little box, it makes it much easier to be who people want you to be, and also to be the person you want to be in another way. So whenever I take in that approach and people have gotten really mad at me for something like that, I don't really care, because getting mad at me, hate threads, positive threads, I don't know what those are like, but I've heard they're good. It's all the same. It's all content. So view anything good or bad that happens to you as content. And I think that way it gives you, not only does it give you a certain level of disconnect from it, but it also gives you a control over it. Because now you're not thinking about, oh, this is happening to me. Now you're thinking about, imagine drawing cards. And if you draw a card that's not the card you want to draw, you still have to find a way to plan it or to play it anyway. And I think that that gives you more autonomy and more control over the outcome in your life. And overall, I think that's a much healthier outlook than to just blame the internet for being mean, or to blame a group of people for being assholes or something like that, because all you're really doing is blaming something other than yourself. And you can do that, by the way. You can say that it's totally somebody else's fault, and you know what the best part is? You're probably right. And you know what the worst part is? Nobody fucking cares, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how often you're going to go and say that, oh yeah, this is all these other people's fault, and, oh, this isn't my fault, like, oh, this happened to me, it's not fair. Nobody gives a fuck. Nobody cares. It doesn't matter. And to the extent that you start complaining, people will start resenting you. Because as a content creator, and this is, again, I'll tell you guys this, right? My first major viral moment on the internet was a hate thread, okay? It was whenever I made my video, the Asmongold's Lair 2010, and somebody posted it on Reddit, and everybody was like, wow, I guess this is what people do before they kill themselves, or this is what I bet this guy's never had a girlfriend, or I wonder how bad this guy smells, or I wonder what this guy looks like, or something like that, right? And it's all insults. But the truth is that none of this bothered me, because, bro, who the fuck records a video of a bunch of moldy soda cans and then they get upset whenever somebody says it's gross? Of course people are going to say that. What, are you going to cry about that? Then don't post the fucking video. It's that simple. And again, a lot of content creators, a lot of people that watch content creators want to be content creators. What is the number one job that people in the UK and America want to have? Kids. Being a YouTuber. What is it in China, by the way? Astronaut. I don't know how that's going to turn out. I'll let you know in 30 years, but not looking very good. Anyway, so you have these people and they want to be content creators, and they see a content creator who is in a lifestyle that they themselves think that this is a perfect lifestyle. They have idealized this lifestyle to be like, this is their dream. Their dream is to be a YouTuber or a streamer. And then they have somebody who's a YouTuber or a streamer complaining about it, and this is like a personal insult to them. They're angry at you because they're thinking you should be thankful for what you have. If I was in your position, I would be so happy and all my problems would be solved. And maybe that's true, maybe that's not true. It doesn't really matter whether it's true or not. But one thing that I've learned is that complaining about being a content creator to people that want to be content creators, it's a pretty tough audience. So don't even do it. Don't even try. And again, you want to get it out there. You want to put yourself out there. Bro, you're not yourself. You're a version of yourself. Stop trying to make other people accept you. Stop trying to, make the internet give you their seal of approval. Stop trying to make people tell you that you're okay, that what you're doing is okay, because the only person's you know approval that you need is your own. You don't need anybody else to give you the approval to be yourself. Unless, of course, you're breaking the law, right? If yourself is a murderer, then, maybe don't be yourself. But other than that, say what you want to say, be who you want to be. Because at the end of the day, you shouldn't live your life trying to apologize for who you are, for better or for worse. And I think that living that type of a lifestyle that's more true to yourself gives you much more longevity. Because eventually, if you try to play a character, people are going to find out. People are going to figure it out, and they're going to see what's behind the mask. They're going to see the man behind the machine, and the immersion's going to be broken, and people won't like you anymore. So it's much better to just be yourself, at least to an extent, or at least be a version of yourself that you're comfortable with online. Not that you're constantly trying to, be a different person. Even though, of course, it is contextualized around only being that version of yourself online. Again, another catch-22. Doing these kinds of things is complex psychologically, but a lot of things are online. That's just the way it goes. So yeah, never complain about your job as a content creator. Oh yeah, you can get swatted. Yep, that definitely can happen. Does anybody on the internet care? Yeah, they're going to say that they care, but if you sit there and complain about it all the time, they're going to tell you to get a real job anyway, because they wish they were in your position. Never really complain about being a content creator. Also, don't treat your audience like your own diary. Everybody always talks about parasocial relationships, about how viewers get too emotionally attached to streamers. Well, nobody ever talks about how streamers might get too emotionally attached to their audience and think for a second that, oh, all these people actually really know me, and then I'm going to go play this other game and they're all going to love it. But then whenever you're some Warcraft streamer and you're streaming World of Warcraft for 600 viewers, you swap over to play Apex Legends and you go down to 60 viewers, and all those people who said they were there for you, it turned out they were lying. And it's a very hard pill to swallow. But once you do it, you'll be better off. Because once you understand that and you realize who you are in a healthy way, it'll give you a better outcome or a better outlook on who you want to be. Because if you just spend your whole life pretending like you're another person, living in a fantasy world, you're not going to do yourself any favors. And you're not going to, I've never seen a story like that that ends positively. So what I'm really trying to get at here is that if people are being rude to you or something like that, or they're being mad at you or anything, it's important to take what people say into consideration, because again, it is feedback. But at the same time, you shouldn't really have to. I believe in personal censorship. I don't believe in censorship really hardly at all, minus, like, of course, crazy stuff like death threats, doxing, etc. But I don't really believe in that, but I do believe in personal censorship. And what I mean by that is that if you fucking hate bananas, like, I'm talking about, you think they are the most disgusting, ugly, awful things you have ever seen, those big yellow dicks, I think you should be able to say, I'd never want to see bananas again. You should be able to blacklist the word on Twitter, and people that try to push you into talking about it or thinking about bananas, you should ban them. Because at the end of the day, you should have autonomy over your own space and who you are and what you deal with and what you don't deal with. So if somebody's making you uncomfortable, fucking ban them. If somebody is trying to argue with you, fucking ban them. If somebody's trying to start some sort, or block them as well. And there will always be people that are going to say, oh, well, that just means you're weak. Okay. Why do you need their approval? This entire, like, them saying that is predicated on the idea that what they said matters to you. So just don't let it matter. And then do whatever you want that makes yourself comfortable. Because these are, you don't even know what this person looks like. You don't know them. They don't know you. How the fuck are they going to say this? Well, let me tell you something. A lot of people who are very opinionated on the internet have a very high opinion of their own opinions, and they overvalue them. But the reality is that most people's opinions on the internet go straight into the garbage bin. Hey, I didn't like store mounts for 10 years in World of Warcraft. I still don't like them. Blizzard's put that in the garbage bin. They've taken it out, they've recycled it, and they put it in the garbage bin about every 6 months now. Nobody gives a fuck what I think. And you know what? Sometimes that's a very freeing thing, is to know that you're not, you can't hold some, like massive group of people accountable. But, the other side of that is that they can't do that to you either. You can be yourself, and you don't need anybody else's approval to do so, except your own. And of course, the platform that you're streaming on, so make sure you don't get banned. But other than that, be yourself and don't say sorry. I don't know why it's so hard for a lot of people, and it's taken me a long time to get to this position. And I'll tell you right now, I'm not at the destination yet. But this is how far I've gotten so far, and these are the things that I've learned over the years. And I'd like to recap everything just to talk a little bit about it, okay? Number one, criticism that you get that is based off of an insult of your personal appearance should be immediately discarded and not taken seriously at all. Two, treat yourself like content. The good stuff that happens to you is content. The bad stuff that happens to you is content. Number one, it disconnects you from the outcome. Number two, it gives you autonomy over it. Three, you need to also take criticism seriously. Of course, if a lot of people are saying something, but at the same time, don't let it change what you believe, and don't let it change who you are. And I would also say a fourth one is, let me think. I'm trying to think of the best way to say this, or the best way to do it, is that you can't really be canceled unless you become a version of yourself that is antithetical to who viewers think you are. So, for example, whenever people found out that Keemstar said the N-word, nobody really was surprised. Like, this wasn't really a big surprise. But if some other person who's, like a big, social awareness person, social justice, they care about this, if this happened to them, it would completely cancel them. And the reason for that is because that person did something that is directly contradictory to the image that they portrayed online. And I've been canceled on Twitter. Now, I didn't know this. I had to have somebody tell me that I was canceled because I didn't check Twitter that day. And sometimes, like, articles will be written about how, people are harassing me on Twitter. I really mean this. Like, if I see somebody, like, if you type something rude to me, I will just instantly block you. I won't read it. I will just see, okay, this person's being aggro, they're being rude. I'm not going to read it. I don't have to. There's no reason to. I don't need, and if they say, oh, well, you're weak, or you have a big ego for doing that, sure, think whatever you want. Doesn't bother me. Why would it matter? Why would it matter what they think? So do what's comfortable for you, do what makes you happy, and you will be happy. Do what other people want, do what makes them happy, and you'll make them happy. And I think that's what it all comes down to. And if you are happy and you're making good content, people will show up and people will care and they'll appreciate you. If you make them happy, you're only waiting until the time that you don't. So yeah, in general, do whatever you want to do. Don't apologize for shit that you're not sorry for. Don't try to be a person you're not. And don't take things personally. Don't care. It's so hard to do. But whenever you get to that point, you will be so happy you made it. And that's how to deal with internet harassment. From somebody who's been fucking... Oh my god, I don't know how many of these... Like, I feel like it's, it's like remember you get your driver's license, or you turn 21, you can finally drink. And it's like I see friends of mine and they get their first hate thread, or they get canceled on Twitter for the first time. It's like, oh man, they grow up so quick. It's almost fucking funny for me to see this, but I'm sure for them the world's falling apart. But just remember that it's actually not. Nobody really cares. And the real best apology for anything is better content. So if people aren't happy with what you're doing, they're not happy with what you said, they're not happy with your current content, you know how best to apologize to them? Is make better content. It's very hard to do. It's a lot easier to say that you're just getting bullied on Twitter, isn't it? It is. But the harder option is, in this case, in my opinion, the best one. And that's my best advice. So thanks for watching, guys. I'd be curious to hear fucking piece of shit. See that loud little ringing sound? I'm so sorry. I don't know what that is. I have to hit it in like tactical ways, right? It's like a fucking Konami code with this fucking refrigerator to get it to turn off and stop making that fucking noise. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I'd be curious to hear your feedback in the comments, and if your feedback is rude, I'll fucking ban you. Thanks a lot for watching. See you later. Peace.